Om Agyantirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Nadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादां सरललिता श्रीविशाखामितं च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So till now, what we have seen is in verse number 1, we have seen Dhritarashtra asks Sanjaya that my children and the children of Pandu have arranged on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. What did they do? And then Sanjay tells him very cleverly that do not worry, Duryodhana is not going to compromise, and he has went to Dronacharya and he is speaking them. So Duryodhana, first of all, in indirect way, chastises Dronacharya for giving military education to Drishadumna, that the son of Drupad, and also tells him that do not be lenient now in the battlefield because I know Pandavas are very dear to you. And then he tells whom are the people on the opposite party whom need to fight. And then after that, he tells whom are the our party, who the person or general in our party, whom you should be knowing that these are people in our party. And then a comparison made how our party is protected because of Bhishma Pitama and their party because of Bhima is not very protected well. And then after reading everything, Bhishma Pitama blows his conch shell. And then in verse number 14, we see how Krishna and Arjuna enters and then they blew their conch shells. And the different names of conch shells are given in various and the personalities are given. And then other also start blowing their conch shells and other things. And then after that, the Kuru's heart are being shattered. And then we see how Arjuna takes up his bow. And then he is about to start the fight, but he says, let me see who are the person in the opposite party. And he tells Krishna, let us take our chariot between the parties. And Krishna, being obliged, does so. And then Arjuna sees different categories of relatives in the opposite sides. Some are his fathers, some are grandfathers, teachers, uncles, brothers, sons, grandfathers, friends, fathers-in-law, well-wishers. These are different categories of people he saw. And then he's put into illusion. And then he gives 5 reasons why not to fight. So we saw the first reason in verse number 28 to 30, compassion for friends and relatives. Then in verse number 31 to 35, we saw that even if we are victorious, there is no enjoyment because whom will we show to this enjoyment to other people? Then how if there is nobody to show this enjoyment, then why do we need to do this war? And third reason he gives is fearful of sinful reactions. That if we kill them, even if they are wrong, we will have to incur sinful reactions which we don't want. And fourth reason, which we are going to see today, is destruction of family tradition. That is from verse number 39 to 43. So we have seen this verse number 39 like last time, and we are going to see verse number 40. And the last reason, indecision will be given in next chapter, that is verse number 2.6. So in verse number 39, we saw how here Krishna says, Arjuna says to Krishna that with the destruction of dynasty, the eternal family tradition is vanquished, and thus the rest of family becomes involved in religion. So the tradition is destroyed and people become irreligious, which we saw in last verse. So let's start today's verse. Adharma bibhavat Krishna pradushyanti kula striya sishu dushta shuvasneya jayate varna sankara. Adharma irreligion, Abhibhavat, having become predominant, Krishna, O Krishna, Pradushyanti, become polluted, Kulastriya, family ladies, Strishu, by the womanate, Dushtashu, being so polluted, Vashneya, O descendant of Vrishni, Jayate, comes into being, Varna Sankara, unwanted progeny. So when irreligion is predominant in the family, O Krishna, the woman of the family becomes polluted, and from the degradation of womanhood, O descendant of Vrishni, comes unwanted progeny. So this is a sequence which is given. So Kula Shaya means when the distance families happens, then Prashanti Kula Dharma. So the family tradition stops. And then what happens? Adharma, because its religion increases, and then it starts its Prashanti Kula Striya. So woman gets polluted, and then one Sankara is unwanted pollution, progeny comes. So this is all the sequence. So good population in human society is a basic principle for peace, prosperity, and spiritual progress in life. So if we want this peace, prosperity, and spiritual progress, then we need good population. This is the first prerequisite. So nowadays, when we see there is no peace, there is no prosperity, and we see so many wars are going on, the basic reason is the overall population is not so good. And therefore, we need to work on this. The Varnashram religious principles are were so designed that a good population would prevail in society for the general spiritual progress of state and community. So what are the Varnashram Dharma, what are the religious principles were described? They were done in such a way that only good population will prevail and they will only grow. And thereby, there was peace in the society. Such population depends on chastity and faithfulness of his womanhood. So it depends on how good and chaste the women are. So women needs to be chaste and men needs to be responsible. If men are responsible and women are chaste, this is a very good combination and good progeny can come and good things can go. As children are very prone to be misled, women are very prone to degradation. Therefore, both children and women require protection by their elder members of family. So we know that women are rational and women are sentimental and men are rational. So therefore, they can be easily misled like children also, and therefore they need protection by elder members. By being engaged in various religious practices, women will not be misled into adultery. So according to Chanakya Pandit, women are generally not very intelligent and therefore not trustworthy. So we need to know here that not very intelligent does not mean on IQ level, but or emotional level. We should understand what does it mean is women are more emotional and men are more rational. And second, according to spiritual practices, the more we are out of bodily identification or are away from it, the more we progress. And therefore, in women body, women are more in general, not for everybody, but in general, they are more attached to the bodily identification. And therefore, it is said that here they are more or less intelligent and not necessarily on the IQ level, it is being spoken. So different family traditions of religious activities should always engage them, and thus their chastity and devotion will give birth to a good population eligible for participating in Varnashram system. So in the previous times, we see that there are so many festivals which were celebrated. So women will be kept busy in so many religious practices, so many things, so that they are protected, and at the same time they have that engagement also, and they can enjoy the things in a very dharmic way. So this is how it was to be done. On the failure of such Varnashram dharma, naturally the women become free to act and mix with men, and thus adultery is indulged at the risk of unwanted population. So when the Varnashram dharma is not properly administered, then what happens? There is free mixing, and this is never encouraged. In the Varnashram dharma, the type which is going on now is co-education, that where the women and men are educated together in a school and colleges. Actually, this was not a practice before. There were a Gurukula system for the men and the separate system for the women also. Both were educated, but differently. Why this? Because naturally there is attraction between men and women. And what happens is when this is done prematurely, then what happens is then there is a risk of unwanted population. At the same time, the life of men and women both gets endangered, and they cannot live a proper good life also. So I will give you some example, in nature also, the grains grow. If we see the grains grow, so first there is a the grass which goes and then it goes up, and then small grains comes in the, what you can say, that the husk. There's a husk inside that husk, them some grown, and when they're grown up, and if you remove that point of time, then you can lot of grains. But if you do it prematurely, then what happens? We will not get a single grain also. There's a time for everything. So generally from 13, 14 years of age, this attraction between male and female starts. But this is not the age to engage. This is the age when they have good memory, they can do good learning, they can do good, so many good things. And then when the proper age comes of after 20, 22, 23, then they can, if they are married, they can engage in all these things. Otherwise, they should not. They should actually practice brahmacharya in life as far as they can. And a grahastha can also practice brahmacharya, and there are rules for that also, which are discussed in scriptures. They can also practice brahmacharya. There is grahastha brahmachari, and these are called the nestic brahmacharis. So both should practice brahmacharya if they want to advance spiritually. So whatever it is written, this all the verses, this is written in the context that we want to advance spiritually. If somebody does not want to advance spiritually, even if, then also this needs to be done if they want proper peace and prosperity in society. So both ways this needs to be done. And if it is not done now, then what happens is irresponsible man will provoke adultery in society, and thus unwanted population will flood the human race at the risk of war and pestilence. So if there is this unwanted population, what will happen is there will be war everywhere, and human race will at be risk. So nowadays we see there are so many wars going on. And one of the reasons is here, we can understand scientifically why it is going on. And if such population is more now, then good population cannot survive, because there will be very aggression and there is so many things. And therefore, this needs to be done. And it's very scientific. We should be able to understand it very scientifically, then it will help us. Then verse number 41. I hope all of you have understood this context very nicely. Shankaro narakayeva kulagnanam kulasya cha patanti pitaro yesham lupta pindodaka kriyam. Sankara, such unwanted population, narakaya, make for hellish life, eva, certainly, kula gnanam, for those who are killers of family, kulasya, for the family, cha, also patanti, fall down, pitara, forefathers, he certainly, esham, of them, lupta, stop, pinda, of offerings of food, udaka, and water, kriya, performances. As an increase of unwanted population certainly causes hellish life both for the family and those who destroy the family tradition. The ancestors of such corrupt families fall down because the performance of offering them food and water are entirely stopped. So when this unwanted population arises, so not only it creates hell for them, but all for the family also. Like if we see a child is not good, then the parents also suffer, the grandparents also suffer, and the further generation also suffer. The surrounding also suffers. So this is this is not a single thing actually, and we should not take it very lightly. This is a very in today's time now, it's very, very useful, and we can see in all our places also, in our life also, that how if there are unwanted population, then there's a hell. We cannot live properly. And we are always in fearful situation that something will happen today, something will happen. And therefore, other thing is the offering of food, that is shada and all. So this is needed because sometimes the forefathers become ghosts, they don't get a body. So because of shad, they get some food which is offered to Vishnu, and then they can have a good body, and they can also go to the next generation and all. So this is all is needed. According to the rules and regulation of fruitive activities, there is a need to offer periodical food and water to the forefathers of the family. This offering is performed by the worship of Vishnu, because eating the remnants of food offered to Vishnu can deliver one from all kinds of sinful activities. Sometimes the forefathers may be suffering from various types of sinful reactions, and sometimes some of them cannot even get a gross material body, and they are forced to remain in a subtle bodies as ghosts. So what happens is when the forefathers die, then there's a sequence that they will get a next body. But when they do so many sinful activities, or the sinful activities much more now, then what happens is they may not get a body also. So the next body is pending because of the sinful activities which are done. And in that case, what happens is when the Sarvana is being done, when the food is offered to Vishnu and is offered to the forefathers, then what happens is, then there's a chance of them to get out of that ghost body and get a next body of human body. But when this process are being stopped unnecessarily, then what happens is they will not get a next body, and what will happen is they unnecessarily suffer more. And this is how this is very unnatural. And therefore, we should offer Shada as far as we can. Thus, when remnants of prasadam food are offered to forefather descendants, the forefathers are released from ghostly or other kinds of miserable life. Such help rendered to forefathers is a family tradition, and those who are not in devotional life are not required to perform such rituals. So this is a family tradition, and this is also, if we can say, this is also a rain, because because of them we have got this body. Because if they were not there, the next generation will not there and will not get this body, and we have got this human birth of life because of their work. And therefore, there is an obligation from our side also which we need to fulfill. And when we do Shraddha ceremony, this obligation is being fulfilled. And when we give prasad, see, specifically, it needs to be offered first to Vishnu and then offered to them as remnants. Then they will get all the benefit. Otherwise, it's difficult for them to get benefit because this is prasad and this is offered to forefathers and this by descendants. And therefore, they can be released for any kind of sin they have done or any ghostly bodies or something. And otherwise also now, if there are bodies of ghosts now, if we see, they will trouble us in one way or other. We can see some families, they're always in trouble, and they will say that because aapke forefathers are in these bodies and they're not properly, and therefore they are suffering and all. So this we can also see that way also, that how these things are being done. One who is engaged in devotional service is not required to perform such actions. Simply by performing devotional service, one can deliver hundreds and thousands of forefathers for all kinds of miseries. But one who, if he is doing devotional service means one should surrender and do the daily japa and whatever devotional things are required. It is not that I just believe in God, but I don't do the thing. It's not just I just believe. They should do some devotional activities. So if they do devotional activities and they are devotees, then they not do all these things, and they can the forefathers can get this all the things without doing all actional rituals also. So the verse is in Bhagavatam 11:541. Devashi bhutapta nirnanam pitrinam na kinkaro nayam rini charajan sarvatmanoya sharanam sharanyam gato mukundam parihitya kartam. Anyone who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda, the giver of liberation, give him all kinds of obligation and has taken to the path in all seriousness. So first is one has to surrender to Mukunda. He has to take shelter. And second, he has to do devotion service all seriousness. One cannot be casual. Then what happens? Owes no duty, neither duties and nor obligation to demigods, sages, general living entities, families, members, mankind, or forefathers. So see, if we do devotional service, what are the benefits we get? Not only we are liberated, all the forefathers are liberated, and all the other obligations we need not do. So much time is saved for us for doing other obligations. And if we are not devotees, then we should generally encourage other people to do all these things. Otherwise, they'll be in difficulty. So, if we are taken shelter and second, we are doing it all in seriousness, then we need not do all these things. That means if we do, there is not a problem, but it is not obligation on our part to do this, because anyways, we are offering food first to Krishna and then given to forefathers. So anyways, we are doing our things, so there is no problem. Such obligation are automatically fulfilled by the performance devotion service to Supreme Personality of Godhead. So devotion service which you have got now, it's not an ordinary thing. It has so many benefits, and it's so difficult to get devotion service. Not many will become devotees. And therefore, when we have got this devotion service, we should take it with all seriousness, and we should practice devotion service in a very matured way. Let's see verse number 42. Dosharete kulagnanam varna sankara karakai utsadyante jati dharma kula dharma shashwata. Dosha, by such faults, ete, all this, kula gnanam, of the destroyers of the family, varna sankara, of unwanted children, karake, which are the causes, utsadyante, are devastated, jati dharma, community projects, kula dharma, family traditions, cha also shashvata. So it is not that our family will go in hell and all the things. Even the community projects are also stopped. So by the evil deeds of those who destroy the family tradition and thus give rise to unwanted children, all kinds of community projects and welfare, family welfare activities are devastated. So this is a effect which will also have very bad effect in the society also, not in our family but society also. So community projects are the for the four orders of human society combined with the family welfare activities as they are set forth by the Institute of Sanatan Dharma or Varnashram Dharma are designed to enable human being to attain his ultimate salvation. Therefore, the breaking of Sanatan Dharma tradition by irresponsible leaders of society brings about chaos in that society, and consequently, people forget the aim of life, Vishnu. Such leaders are blind, and persons who follow the leaders are sure to lead to chaos. So all these things, community projects which are done for human society and welfare projects are set for so that people can follow the Varnashram Dharma and can do their activities and go back to God. But when this all things are broken and the community projects are stopped, then what happens is the problem starts and people will then have to work for their daily meals and so many other things. And then the ultimate goal is being lost. So nowadays we see people are working very hard. There is no doubt. But for what they are working? Not for the ultimate salvation, but for gaining so many things, modern things, gadgets and so many things. And they are working for EMIs and so many things. So actually, if we see now, this is not actually needed to work so hard for general maintenance, but because of having so many unwanted needs, because there are not many projects also, not many, we see that traditions also, so we have to work very hard for basic things also. And the basic things are also so much increased. And therefore, what has happened is now we have increased our so much needs now that we have to work very hard to fulfill those needs. And because the time is lost, see the problem in having higher ambitions, higher goals, working very hard for achieving so many mundane things is that our time is lost. And if we don't have time, then what is the time left for spiritual practices? Because 24 hours the same. So the time is lost in all the material activities, then we'll not be able to practice spiritually, practice it very nicely. And therefore, the salvation which this human body can afford. See, other bodies also we can do so many things, but only human body, and also that in Bharat Varsh, this is a very special thing. This can afford us ultimate liberation, which will be lost. And therefore, we need to be very careful where we are spending our time. And we try to reduce the needs as far as possible. If we can live in a small house very nicely, there is no need of bungalows. If we can drive a small car, there is no need of purchasing huge car and then working hard for paying EMIs and all things. And in that way, doing wrong things. We should be very much careful, sensitive. At the same time, there is no need of living a life restricted and in deprivation of all the things, in poverty also. No need to live in poverty. Whatever is reasonable, we should do. But at the same time, we should not go for a luxury life, which will reduce our time for spiritual needs. Let's see verse number 43. Utsane kula dharmanam manusyanam janardana narke niyatam vaso bhaviti anushushama. Utsane, spoiled, kula dharmanam, of those who have the form family traditions, Manushyanam, of such men, Janardana, O Krishna, Narake, in hell, Niyatam, always, Vasa, residence, Bhavati, it so becomes, Iti, thus, Anushushama, I have heard by disciplic succession. O Krishna, maintainer of the people, I have heard by disciplic succession that those whose family traditions are destroyed dwell always in hell. So, if family traditions are destroyed, nobody is offering Shraddha, and also nobody is practicing devotional service. What happens is they have to stay in hell for a long, long time. And this, what Arjuna has heard, is not from his own Pratyaksh Maharaj, but from authorities. So this is the way we take things. Whatever we do, we earn disciplic succession. And that way we can be sure that the knowledge is coming is good and perfect. So Arjuna bases his argument not on his personal experience, but on what he has heard from the authorities. That is a way of receiving real knowledge. One cannot reach the real point of actual knowledge without being helped by the right person who is already established in knowledge. So this is again, Prabhupada points the fact that if we want any knowledge in any subject matter, we need to consult that authority. If somebody wants to become a doctor, he needs a teacher who has knowledge of doctor. So one who wants to become a doctor will not go to a person who knows engineering and take knowledge from the engineering person and pass his doctor exam. It will not happen like this. So if somebody wants spiritual knowledge also now, he should go to a spiritual minded person who has learned the scriptures, who has understood the scriptures and can give the right knowledge. Otherwise, we may think that we have got the knowledge, but we don't know whether that knowledge will be helpful for us and whether we'll reach the ultimate destination with that knowledge or not. So nowadays, the trend is whoever is famous on his subject matter will talk about some other spirituality and people will hear that spirituality. So this is very wrong actually. And and because of this now, so many people are misguided to a wrong direction and so many people are not practicing devotional life as they should. And because of them, so much wrong is being happening. And we should be aware of the things and therefore we should take guidance from proper authorities and proper bona fide people who have the knowledge and not from everybody. Otherwise, we are at loss. And this should be understood very nicely. There is a system of in the Varnashram institution by which before that one has to undergo the process of atonement for sinful activities. One who is always engaged in sinful activities must utilize this process of atonement called the prayaschitta. Without doing so, one surely will be transferred to the hellish planet to undergo miserable lives as a result of sinful activities. This is very important point here to be understood. See, many times we have a question that some people are always doing wrong and they are flourishing. And we are doing right, but we are not flourishing. Or the question is, why do bad things happen to good people? This is a common question which is asked. Or why do good things happen to bad people? So we should understand in human form of life now, this action reaction always happens. If somebody does good, good thing will happen to him or her. And somebody does bad, bad thing happen to her or him. But there's a time gap. There's a time gap between the thing which he has done and the reaction which will come. So why there is a time gap between this? Suppose, see there is some instant reaction also. Suppose in a train, if we slap a person, then immediately we'll get a slap. If we eat something wrong the last day, the next day we'll have stomach upset. Like this we are immediate. But most of the reactions which we get are not immediate. That there is a time lag between this. So why this time lag is given? So that between the time lag, we can do prayaschitta. We can atone for that wrong. And in this way, we can be saved from that punishment. And therefore, we see so many people are doing thievery, so many people are doing malpractices, but they are not caught immediately. So many years are passed before they are caught. And sometimes you see they are never caught. And we tell the whole institution is wrong, the government is corrupt, the things are corrupt, the departments, so many things we say. But this is an arrangement which is done by the material nature so that the persons who are doing corrupt things may get a chance to rectify themselves and they may do prayaschitta. And in that way, if they do prayaschitta, then what will happen is they will not have to suffer. Otherwise, without doing so, and if the time which is given, if they don't utilize the time and they don't do prayaschitta, then what will happen? Without doing so, one surely will be transferred to hellish planets to undergo miserable lives as a result of sinful activities. So we should be sure that in this life, nobody goes unattended. See, one may bribe the government and may get out. One may bribe the police people and do whatever things may they do know. One may bribe the judge, the court, and everything, and they may be caught. They may not be caught. They may be out of the jail, and they may do so many activities. But we should understand the laws of karma, the laws of nature are very, very perfect. They cannot be bribed. You cannot bribe the laws of nature. And you will have to suffer for your whatever deeds you have done. And therefore, we should try to help others to come to devotional life so that they may be saved in their hellish life. So the most social work which we can do, the most help which we can do other person, giving them devotional service. In that way, what will happen? They will be saved from the hellish life also. There will be all the atonements to all the previous karma will be done. Their forefathers will be delivered from going to hell. At the same time, because they are doing devotional service, they will not do adharmic things, and they in that way they will help others also. And in this way, if we not only practice devotional service, but will help others to practice devotional service, the whole society will be peaceful. And therefore, in chapter 9, verse number 29, Bhagavad-gita, the peace formula is given. Bhoktaram yaya tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suradam sarva bhutanam. Then, if we do all these things, that is, we understand that Krishna is the proprietor, he's the mentor, and he's the friend of all living entities. Then what happens? Peace prevails. Then there is a shantim richati. Then there is a peace which happens. And this is the principle of Bhagavad Gita, which we should understand and help others also to have this knowledge. So some devotees or some people say that why we should preach and why we should give to others. There's a common question asked, I am practicing my own way, why we should give to others? So it is like this. Suppose a person next to me is doing thievery, but I am not doing anything. I am doing moral practices. But what happens is, if we don't tell him, if we don't educate him that do not do thievery, it is a crime. The next day, he will do thievery in our house also. And next time, what will happen? We will also not be protected. And we'll also face the consequences of this, consequences of not telling him that it was wrong and not at that time helping him to correct himself. Like this, if we don't preach devotion service, what will happen is the population around us will be anti-devotional, and in that way they will not allow us also to protect to do devotion service. They will obstruct our devotion service and one or others. See, ultimately devotion service has no impediments. Nothing can impede devotion service. But for us now, because we are conditioned now, so many things, if it is not in proper place now, we'll not be able to do devotion service perfectly. And therefore, for us to do devotional service perfectly, we also need to preach in whatever we can. Whomever we can influence, we should give them Bhagavad Gita and devotional things also. Like I was speaking yesterday also to one doctor, so we are speaking that instead of, there was some Halki Kumkum program and there are so many ceremonies we do. And she was telling me that now my mother and I have decided that instead of giving other gifts, we'll give to everyone Bhagavad Gita. So for any marriage ceremony, for any these things, instead of giving all these things like chocolates and all, which anyway is going to destroy and it will not help others. So let us give some small books. Let us give some Srila Prabhupada, big to small. It will help them also. It will help also. And in this way, it will help all people. So it was very nice thing which we did. They did, and they gave a lot of books like Journey Home book, Bhagavad Gita, and small books also to so many people, so that they are also helped. And she was telling me that it has also helped our clinic to grow. So whatever we do for devotion, we do for Krishna, and nothing goes waste. And we should be very thorough with this. We should understand very deeply that we need to do these things, and it will not only help us, it will help all people in a own way. And therefore, we should also give it to others. Otherwise, what will happen is we'll also have to suffer. And therefore, we should help others also to do this prayashit so that nobody suffers. So let's see verse number 44. Aho bata mahat papam kartum vyavasthita vayam yadraja sukha lobhena hantum swajanam udyata. Aho, alas, bata, how strange it is. Mahat, great, papam, sins, kartum, to perform, vyavasthita, have decided, vayam, we, yet because raja sukha lobhena, driven by the greed for royal happiness, hantum, to kill, swajanam, kinsman, udyata, trying. Alas, how strange it is that we are preparing to commit greatly sinful acts, driven by the desire to enjoy royal happiness. We are intent on killing our own kinsmen. Driven by sinful, selfish motives, one may be inclined to such sinful acts as the killing of one's own brother, father, or mother. There are many such instances in the history of the world, but Arjuna, being a saintly devotee of the Lord, is always conscious of moral principles and therefore takes care to avoid such activities. So here Arjuna is again saying to Krishna that why we need to kill them, even if we are desire to enjoy royal happiness. So for this, we need not to kill the people. So nowadays, if we see, wealth is everything. For wealth, we kill our brothers, sisters. There are so many court cases going on for wealth. But see, Arjuna, he is considered wealth as nothing, and therefore he is saintly. And therefore, his character is again being shown that he is conscious of moral principle and therefore takes care to avoid such activities. So we should try as far as we can to avoid such activities where we do not commit sinful activities and to enjoy things like property and all. We do not unnecessarily cause violence and do not unnecessarily fight in the courts as far as it is not adharmic. If it is in dharmic way, we should do it. We should fight in the courts as far as is concerned, but we should do what is needful. Verse number 45. Yadi mamrati apratikaram asastam sassapanaya dhatarashtasya dharane hanyus tanme shemam taram bhaved. Yadi, even if me, apratikaram, without being resistant, asastam, without being fully equipped, sassapanaya, those with weapons in hand, Dhatarashtra, the sons of Dhritarashtra, running on the battlefield, Hanyu, may kill, tat, that, me, for me, Shemataram, better bhavet, would be. Better for me if the sons of Dhritarashtra, weapons in hand, were to kill me unarmed and unresisting on the battlefield. So he's saying that I will like to give my life, but I don't want to take the life. It is the custom according to Kshatriya fighting principles that an unarmed and unwilling foe should not be attacked. Arjuna, however, decided that even if attacked by the enemy in such an awkward position, he would not fight. He did not consider how much the other party was bent upon fighting, all the symptoms due to soft-heartedness resulting from him being a devotee of the Lord. So actually, in the fight, if somebody is unarmed, he doesn't have weapons, he should not be killed. So somebody with weapons fight with somebody who has weapons. Somebody who is on the horse fight with somebody who is on the horse. Somebody on the elephant fights with somebody who is on the elephant. And somebody doesn't have weapons, he also should fight without weapons. This is the code of war. But here Arjuna is saying that if opposite parties have weapons and if I have nothing, still I will not fight. Let him kill me. So this is a very, it requires a lot of heart to say these things. So if somebody wants to kill us, we will at least do something in self-protection. But if we see all the devotees in Bhagavatam also, they are completely dependent on Lord for their protection. Ambrish Maharaj, when Durvasa Muni puts a whole demon on him, it doesn't anyway get agitated or does anything to retaliate Durvasa Muni. He just folds his hand and stays there. Whatever is Lord your wish, doesn't. Here also Arjuna is saying, let me stay in that way and let the Dhritarashtra kill me. I don't want to do anything. So this is a very, very high level of devotion which we can see in Arjuna's heart. And we also, this should be our aim, that we also become a devotee of Krishna and Srimati Radharani like this. This should be our aim in life, that we become devotees of Radha and Krishna like this. Shri Radha and Krishna. Verse number 46. So I think this last verse. Sanjaya Vacha Evam Uktvajuna Sankhe Ratopassa Upavishat Vistitya Sasaram Chapam Shoka Sabvigna Manasa. Sanjaya Vacha, Sanjaya said, Evam thus Uktva, saying Arjuna Sankhya in the battlefield, Ratha of the chariot, Upaste on the seat, Upavishat, such sat down again, Visijya, putting aside, Sasaram, along with arrows, Chapam, the bow, Shoka by lamentation, Sabvigna, distress, Manasa, within the mind. Sanjaya said, Arjuna, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down a chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. So Arjuna, after speaking this, he puts in bows and arrows and sits on the chariot, and his mind is overwhelmed with grief. While observing the situation of the enemy, Arjuna stood up on the chariot, but he was so afflicted with lamentation that he sat down again, setting aside his bow and arrows. Such a kind of soft-hearted person in the devotional service of the Lord is fit to receive self-knowledge. So this is a very important thing here. First thing is Arjuna had taken a vow. That is, somebody tells to put my bow and gandiva down. That is my dhanush and navan. I will kill that person. And one incident it happens that Yudhishthira Maharaj tells him and he's ready to kill Yudhishthira Maharaj also. But Krishna somehow saves both of them. So here, Arjuna himself put his bow and arrow down. So in this world also now, it is our mind, it's our thoughts which can let us down. No outside person can let us down in any war. Here if we see, Arjuna had the skill, but his willpower is gone. He was one of the best Dhanudharas, and therefore there was no problem with the skill. But here, nobody has told him to put his weapon down. But he himself, because of his wrong thinking, he's putting his weapon down. So we also now, when we do mistakes, but after doing mistakes, we don't learn and grow, but lament on the mistakes, then the enthusiasm to go on will go down. Therefore, Krishna tells us in so many verses that we should not lament and should not worry and should not fear also. Because if we go on lamentation mode, what will happen is all our enthusiasm will go down and in the future will not be able to work. And here also we see, because Arjuna is lamenting, if we see Arjuna is lamenting here, and therefore he is sitting down and putting aside his bow and arrows. And second, in devotional perspective, he is not ready to fight. So such as he is a soft-hearted person, and therefore he is a fit to receive self-knowledge. So in the second chapter, because all his symptoms that he doesn't want to fight, Krishna will be ready to give his knowledge in the next chapter. So this we will see next chapter next time. So I think thank you very much. We will just